We've met many of you already, and today basically we will start off with a presentation by our guest speaker, Graham Brain. Basically, Graham, we call him the serial entrepreneur. Over 25 years of startups. He in 1992 to 97, he was founding shareholder and managing director of the Bono Industries, basically establishing and marketing products from factories in Sri Lanka and Malaysia. In 2008 to 2012, he was founding shareholder, providing direction and support in terms of franchise system of the world's first Thai quick service restaurant franchise, okay, called Tasty Thai International. In July 2013 and June 2014, he was CEO at Address Talk, which is a social platform for condominiums and shared properties. From 1997 to present, he was founder and main shareholder of Bartercard Thailand Limited, which is responsible for overall management of the Thailand operations that consists of National Support Center and 5 operational brokerage. Also, he's Asian representative at IFW Nigerman. It's a boutique German-Swiss merger and acquisition company. So, Graham today is going to talk to us about the art of the start. So I'll hand the mic over to Graham. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. This is not my first time to Sasin, and I think the objective tonight is about learning a little bit. That's always been what my life's about, I must say, learning. So art of the start, you're learning what's it all about. And the first thing I'll just say is that I don't like doing the same thing twice. So every time I start a new business, it's like doing another course at university. It's another step in my life. So let's try and find this button here. What I thought I'd start off with was interpretation of an entrepreneur. You can read the dictionary definition of one, and there's lots of them lying around the web. Then you got the public perception. And this is a little bit different. There's a sort of a good and a bad on this one. A lot of people say, strategic, smart, business type person, etc., etc. A lot of other people also feel entrepreneur, somebody different, not normal. So it's not necessarily always perceived as a great word. I don't run around actually telling people I'm an entrepreneur. I think it scares them. They don't have any idea what I'm doing. So as a word, I don't like it that much. What do I call an entrepreneur? Somebody that's willing to take a risk, a real risk. And I'll talk about risks later on as we go through a little bit of what I'm really about. The one word I picked up earlier on, I heard somebody saying passion. Passion has to be part of being an entrepreneur, because if you're going to start something, you have to have passion. The moment you don't have passion, get the hell out of there. That's all I can say about that one. And tenaciousness. Being tenacious to me is a very, very important part of the matrix, because you're just going to have to keep plugging away. It's just not going to stop. You're going to come up with all these great marketing ideas to sell your product, and it's not going to work. And you've got to go back and just do it again and again and again, depending on how much sweat you put into the deal. Talk a little bit about myself, and again, you're going to hear a little bit about me today, and I apologize about that. But this is how can I talk about the art of the start? I'm not a lecturer. I'm a startup person. Heritage. A little bit of what made me an entrepreneur was my heritage. My father, who's a shearer, cuts the wool off the back of sheep. Self-made engineer. He used to run around and doing industrial roller doors. He believed in the power of working for your money, to the degree that we had to help around the house, but we never got pocket money. If you wanted pocket money, you go out and work for it. And one of his best words of advice to me was, you know, if you go out and get a job to maybe clean some windows as a kid, which I did, he said, rather than going up and asking for 50 cents a pane, just leave it up to the guy and say, you pay me what you think I'm worth. And I've used that in business many times, and I'll tell you, it works tremendously. I got even surprised at how much some people are willing to pay me sometimes. So jobs, and I'll say this working, because my father didn't, you know, believed in working for your life. I've worked sort of part-time jobs from the age of 8. I put my age up and lied about my age to get a job when I was 15 to work in a pub in Australia, which had side benefits, you know, as you can see. So in that pub though, I was working in the bottle shop, which serves cars booze basically. And I started working, doing 16, 20 hours a week. By the time I went through university, I was working 40 hours a week, full-time at night, still doing full-time university. I was the night manager in charge of 27 staff. So this part-time job and all this pressure to make your own money ended up teaching me so much about management and people that I never ever learnt at university. So by the time I graduated, I actually was you know, feeling a lot more empowered than most people. So heritage became a part of my entrepreneurial DNA. Brains, well, you know my surname. If I wasn't smart, I'd be really in a lot of shit, I'll tell you now. You know, the other thing about my surname, we can't have children starting with the letter P because it really looks terrible in the male, P brain. So, but yes, I went to university, had a good education, and I think that's a major part of it. But at the same time, the brains I'm talking about aren't necessarily your own. We're talking about other people's brains. And I've got to say, probably I've been lucky again. When we talk about luck, they sort of blend together in this. My first job in the pub, I had a great boss. He taught me a lot about what I had to do and gave me a vision, even within that tiny little job. Future bosses were very similar because I worked for 5 years before I went out on my own. And these guys taught me how to teach myself. And that was luck. If I just had some basic so-and-so who just told me what to do and he wasn't nurturing me and developing me, I wouldn't be here because he developed me and developed my brain and made me think about things in a different way. Luck. Well, we talked, you know, I think this was sort of trapped into that when we talked about brains. I mean, to the degree though, I'll add in one part of luck. It was I come up here to Thailand in '87, and I'm now jumping into the next screen, but it doesn't matter. I was down and out at 91 after the Gulf War, and it was like, oh my God, I've still got a house in Australia, but basically nothing left, no job, no money. If I didn't have something happening, I'm out of here. And I didn't want to go back to Australia already. So I was out looking for jobs. And I saw this job in the newspaper for a financial analyst. And I thought, financial analyst, numbers? I love numbers. This is easy. I can do this. So off I trolloped to this business. And they sat down and described the job to me. And they said, sit in the computer, analyze a company. And I said, well, do I get to see the company? Do I go and meet the people? They said, no, you just sit in this box. I got through the interview, got up to the final stage of meeting the other partner, and they said, well, what do you think? I said, this job is not for me. And they said, good, because you're not for us. We separated. 2 months later, they came back and talked to me about a startup project, which was the inkling start of my first startup. So, you know, sometimes luck happens, but luck happens through tenacity. I wanted to stay in Thailand. I wanted to start my own business. So if I wasn't willing to bang away and do what I had to do, I wouldn't have stayed. I wouldn't have got my first business started. Disappointment. Disappointment helps, believe it or not. You know, I was riding on a wave for my first 5, 6 years. I came up here on a on a software royalty that I was earning from some software I wrote in my first job. I was laughing. I had money everywhere, and then all of a sudden, it all fell apart. And the first time that happened, and it gave me a little bit of a wake-up call. The two crashes, they both affected me greatly. 97 crash, I just sold my companies and made lots of money, put it in the stock market and lost it again, all within 1 month. It was terrific. Not. In the 2008 crash, you heard about the Tasty Thai, that imploded during that crash. It's still existing today and it's crawling along, but it's a walking wounded, and it got ripped into the crash. I can't help you with that sort of thing. That's sort of above my pay scale. But it did hurt you, and I think it's what you learn from it that's the most important part. How to pick yourself up off the floor and get on to the next thing. Very important. So this is, I started this, I think, in around 98, probably in between the second and third one, but I look at my life in 5-year plans. And I know the Chinese do 100-year plans or 1,000 years, but I don't expect to live that long. So 5-year plans. I graduated engineering, and upon graduation, I walked up to the board and I looked at the salaries for an engineer. The 5-year projected salaries for an engineer were less than what I was earning in the pub. And I said, what the hell have I just done? I've wasted 4 years learning about something, and my expectations at the end of it were disgusting. So, you know, I just realized that I said, shit, I have a problem. You know, I find myself needing a job to get money, but I need to get out of this job because I need to do something else really, really quick. So the first 5 years to me were learning, and I did a lot of learning in those years, and I'm not even going to go into detail. Came up to Thailand on a 1-year contract to finish a factory off making golf clubs, Bangpoo Industrial Estate. And I finished that, and I did everything. You've seen these guys around the street, you've met them. These guys are running around, they've got a job every day, they've got a card every month. That was me, you know. I designed a golf course in Chiang Rai that never got built. I designed a rolling stock plant that never got started. I did design a dental cement factory that did happen, but my shareholdings got wiped out. I was involved with everything and everything. And then I just told you the story a minute ago. 91, I was down and out. I happened to have gone on a visa run to Penang, and I found a factory down in Penang that had just gone broke. And I walked up and bought it on my Amex card for $67,000 and managed to get a contract off for the R&D director and the manufacturing manager to come and work for me. Came back up to Thailand, and we got the partners together, and we started my first business in Sri Lanka. My partner happened to be George Soros, Quantum Emerging Growth. He didn't do it for strategic reasons. He wanted somebody down in Sri Lanka to look at his other investments. So I was sort of his man on the ground. So lots of luck, lots of tenacity to sort of stick in the game. And there I was in Sri Lanka breaking my cherry. And boy, oh boy, was that a hard time. I've got this money now. We built a factory, we got all the machinery running. We're only missing one thing, customers. You know, so I ran around the world just selling and selling and selling and selling. And it's so hard. You're running up against the Chinese, you're just another wannabe, you're just trying to be cheaper than they were, and you had to make a difference. What we did to make a difference was Sri Lanka's labor is actually cheaper than China's, even to this day. So we applied labor to our product, and I actually got a range of products and had them, tennis rackets, and I had them painted with 62 different colors in Aboriginal art form. And it was like 28 hours of labor that went into painting one racket. And I went around the shows in Europe showing this racket and said, I can make this for you. And nobody bought the rackets, but what they saw was somebody willing to go out of their way to do whatever it takes to get a sale. And I got my first sale, and that company then evolved. We started off making rackets. We moved on to archery equipment and also snow bindings. And then a second factory in Malaysia doing army helmets, aircraft parts, all composites, etc., etc. And then had the wonderful honor, as I said earlier, of selling the business, getting all this money in 97, 1 month before the crash. Boom, it all turned upside down, which was really the first shock of my life, you know, that you can go and work your heart out for 5 or 6 years in a business, get this beautiful wad of cash at the end of it, and 1 month later it's gone. Okay, it wrecked me again. I jumped straight into a brand new business, and this is the start of what is my new life. Never ever do the same thing twice. So started Bartercard, which is a non-manufacturing business, and I loved it. I was in a position where I could do something completely new. I had great systems from day one, and it was terrific. But I had to do something very hard. I had to sell my house in Australia. It was my last link to the West. And something I'll also mention later, but I'll say it now, it's a Viking thing. And we talked about commitment, and we'll mention that later on. I think there's a massive thing here. Doubling down, well, essentially, what's doubling down about? I've forgotten this one myself. Doubling down was really where I realized that I had to do something more. So I went out there, and that's when I started different operations. I had to think about where I was going to go, what I was going to do. That's where Bartercard really started. And then in 2004, I hit a brick wall. I woke up one day, and I realized I didn't want to go to work. It was terrible. Have you ever had that feeling? Has anybody here ever sort of like woke up? Well, not every day, but I mean, this, for real though, I mean, for the first 5 years of Bartercard, I jumped out of bed. I was getting to work at 6 in the morning, and I was going for it. I had passion, right? I was selling, I was trading, I was doing admin, finance, marketing, PR, everything you can think about. And then one day, the wheels fell off. And I said I had a monstrous problem. What do I do? And I went through probably the hardest years of my life, replacing thyself. It wasn't like I can go and snap a finger and find a manager from outside and bring them in. This is a very industry-specific business. So it had to be from within. And I had to learn new skills here, HR skills, coaching skills. So even replacing myself taught me about what I was going to do. The other problem then came into what was I going to do next? And this is sometimes a monstrous problem, and it's always in the back of my mind all the time. What am I going to do next? And that really came down to a friend of mine suggested go out there and meet people, talk to people. And through Rotary, which I was a member at, through my own membership base of the Bartercard industry, through other networking groups, I went out and talked to people. And not everybody at once, just one-on-ones. So I met with a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, and listened to what their pain factors were. And looked at those pains and said, how could I help? Now, to this day, I help a lot of people and a lot of businesses for free, for fun, something to do. At the end of the day, I'll look at some of those businesses to get involved with. So, to a degree, replacing myself was an internal process within the business, which was very difficult because I really ended up replacing myself with the managing director who then left. So I was back to square one again. I almost wanted to cry. Replaced myself again. My managing director in Bartercard, Ray, she's 32 now, I think. She's been with the company 10 years. We just gave her 10% of the business, and she's brilliant. She's been my MD for 3 years. I now go to that office 2 hours every 3 weeks, and it runs itself. So I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I got myself out of it. I don't get back into it. I then went into 2009. We talked about Tasty Thai, Thai fast food franchise. We're very excited about it. Just some bad timing and this and that. Also got involved with 2 other companies. I did the restructuring of a Swiss technology company, which I'm still a shareholder of and expecting to sell out of next year. And also, what was the other one there? Restaurants, travel, and the social. The social was just recently, came to me through Ardent Group, who was part of my associate group, friends and partners. They came up to me and said, this company's got a great concept. I fell in love with it. I jumped into it. I was a shareholder and a sweat equity CEO. I wasn't looking for money, I was looking for success and to build something. I love the concept of the business, but we hit problems. And And the problems were traction, getting attention. I'm not going to get into the product. You can look it up on the website and try to use it. It'll help. But I lost passion, and I had to get out. And so I walked away from everything. I'm still helping the company where I can, but it's one of those cases of saying if I don't have the passion myself, I didn't want to go to the office. I didn't want to go anywhere near it. So I was actually a detriment to the business. So I organized or helped to organize a new CEO to take over my position, and recommended to the owner to actually, the major partner, to shut it down, to be honest. We're now into redefining thyself, which is my current situation right now. And when you've done all this, you start getting dizzy. Like you in the last 5-6 years, I've probably looked at 30 different projects in detail, of which 2 or 3 have gone to business plan, of which 1 you've gone to commitment, which then you've walked away from. And you're sort of like saying, oh my God, I got to go back to do all this again. And I am, okay? And, but probably being a little bit more detailed about what I'm doing, a little bit more focused. And I've developed essentially a group of tips. I call them the brain tips. Openness and networking. I truly believe in this. A lot of people are very closed about their ideas. They don't want to talk about them. They're scared that somebody's going to go running out there stealing their product, stealing their idea. My God, there's so many ideas running around this world. Who the hell is ever going to steal this? There's no time. They don't know the depth of what you have behind your product, your idea, your contacts. So to me, this is crazy. I'd much prefer to tell people about what I'm doing, and if they knock me off, I'll probably come up and punch them later or something. But forget it. What you gain by talking to people and learning, they'll say, oh, you should talk to such and such, and that becomes the networking within the openness. Connecting the dots, the randomness of life. What they say, some people say you're lucky. There's no such thing as luck. Luck is about hard work, tenacity, pounding away, grinding away, and then all of a sudden things happen, okay? I was just telling Nick a minute ago, I was down to Malaysia for a social lunch on Saturday, and I thought to myself, well, there's a meeting I need to organize on the back of it, just for the hell of it. I don't want to just fly down there for lunch. It looks a bit terrible. So I organized a lunch, which could end up opening up a new business. So going after one thing and then getting something else out of it is connecting dots. You'll meet somebody and you'll spark a brain cell for somebody else. You help them out, they'll come back. There's this synapses of the neurons that really does happen. But you've got to work at it. It comes back to networking and being open. The middle one, this one here, the mad scientist. My God, this is the scariest thing on earth. And if you haven't come across a mad scientist, you're a lucky person. I've had mad scientists in my business that were hiding behind a cloak of normalcy until you discover that they're total animals of refusing to let go. They won't let go. They just hold on to something, won't let it go. They won't change. They're just totally stubborn. They could be mad scientists in other ways where they just won't stop changing. So they won't focus on a product long enough to make it happen. I truly recommend you either shoot them or run away, okay? There's no in between. You can't control them. That's in their psyche, okay? And entrepreneurs and mad scientists do not get on well together. We do not mix. Commitment. Now, has everybody heard the story about the difference between a chicken and a pig in terms of commitment for a breakfast? A chicken provides the egg, but the pig commits the bacon. Think about it, okay? And if you're into a partnership, you have to put some money in, okay? Barter card, if it wasn't successful, I didn't have a house. I did a Viking. The Vikings in the old days would come to the other land and they wanted to plunder, right? They burnt their boats. They couldn't go home. The only way they could go home was through success, through conquering. And it's not about war I'm talking here, but it's about commitment, okay? So that to me is commitment. If you've got somebody that's talking to you about a new business and they're not wanting to put money up and they're talking about, well, I'll put up some of my salary, really, they're just getting a cheap job. some money in the table is commitment. The rest of it, you're just providing the eggs for the breakfast. Tenacity, we've already talked about a lot. I'm not going to really repeat that. Don't worry. This was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me was back in Sri Lanka, and I didn't have any customers. I had 50 staff. I had this whole factory. I had a bank overdraft, and I was going crazy. You know, just how the hell am I going to survive another day, another week? And I was worrying so much about everything. It was just driving me crazy. I couldn't sleep, drinking too much, just all the wrong things. And I couldn't get on track. And I ended up breaking this thing through by starting to write everything down. Anybody that knows me will know that I have a piece of paper on my body at all times, or a little voice-it thing I used to have. And I take notes sporadically. I never want to forget something. I just write it down because it takes it out of your mind and puts it on a piece of paper. And you take all that, put it into Evernote or whatever the hell you use, and then do something with it. And then your mind is happy and you don't worry. Because as long as you've done something about the problems you've got, you've thought about them, you've brainstormed with people, then at the end of the day, you've got something that you can go on with. Yeah? But if you sit back there at night worrying about things, or you have some great ideas in your head and you can't sleep, my God, you have a problem. And you will have a problem. It just won't go away. It'll get worse. It just turns into a bigger problem. The other one, being about the art of the start. I met Guy Kawasaki once, and I've seen his video maybe 100 times. Has everybody here heard of Guy Kawasaki? Yeah? If you haven't, then I really recommend get up on YouTube and watch the video of The Art of the Start. The book, I mean, it's got one-page slides in there, page 52, I think it is, for great presentation tools, setting up great presentations. But forget all that. The video of The Art of the Start is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I watch it at the start of any company. Why? Because it drips with passion. And it talks about so many wonderful things that make sense that I haven't had a chance to talk about here today. One of them being, again, hiring passion rather than qualifications. A lot of what do you call the big money startups, they'll go out there and hire a professional CEO, a CFO, a CTO, a CIO, all these professional MBA graduates with wonderful resumes. But at the end of the day, if they don't have a passion for the business that they're getting into, what's the point? You've just got a really heavy cash flow on your tail. You're much better off finding a person that's got a passion for the product that you're after and finding the right square to put that person into, even if it's not quite a perfect fit. So that in essence, I think, is Graham Brain and what has been like 25, 30 years of arts of starts. My holding company is called OBEX, by the way, Out-of-Box Experience. And right now I'm looking at 2 new projects, and I've got another 3 or 4 in my mind, and it's good fun. So, and always open for anybody that wants to do some brainstorming ideas or introductions. Happy to help. So that's it for me. Really over to Q&A.
Yeah, so we open for the floor to questions. Anybody?
Perfect. We can go drinking now.
Yep. Okay, let me start.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Chachiya. I'm actually graduate from Sasin, like from 2007, and running my own company right now, providing the professional service in program and application, those computer things. Right now, I'm struggling in how. Because it has been like 6 years already, and I'm struggling out how can I grow the company to the next phase.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is what is the next step for like the startup?
I think it comes down to obviously a lot of time looking at your own company and your own staff. Normally that direction is within your company somewhere. I think you've got to work out what the next level is. Is it joining with somebody else? Is it getting new money in, grow up to a new level? Is it changing direction? or is it adding a new line into your business? But I would say the first thing you need is talk to people. Sit down and talk to people about your concerns and your ideas. Because after 6 years, you've been doing this for 6 years, so you're in a position where it's probably got a little bit same.
It's been the cycle, like
Yeah.
start the project and then you finish it and then start a new one. It's like on and on, but you're struggling with the same cycle. It's like a rat running in the
Yes.
in
the cage.
Yes.
So it comes down to looking at your business and seeing where it could go on to, or even selling your business, and then looking at doing something afresh. I mean, don't be scared to run away, okay? And run away successfully or unsuccessfully. If you haven't got the passion, you have to do something to get it back. And it's either through finding a new direction within your business, joining somebody else, doing something new, I think is the most important part. Because if you're doing the same thing constantly, I think you're going to you will be a rat in a cage. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I've got one. Coming up.
Go right ahead.
All right. My name is Brian. I'm from SG Chemicals, so I'm from corporate world.
Right.
But I'm from the R&D unit, but I'm not actually research. So I looked at technical programs and how to manage it, and actually trying to spin out new company from within. I mean, would you say in what aspect your experience could be applied to a corporate function?
None.
Yeah.
I worked for Mobil Oil for 3 months and quit because I couldn't handle it. I'm joking a little bit. I think you just need to look at it within the framework of where you are. If they're looking at spinning off, that's starting up a new business, isn't it? So, then it comes back to identifying the idea, and then working out how unique it is, how much good it's doing to the world, et cetera, and then getting into the viability. So I think the spin-off side is the focus on how you could be using this for that, as well as looking at the existing units. Like, I guarantee you've got similar problems where units are running and they're just grinding out. They're not getting refreshed. So I think that's the sort of thing you'd be looking at.
I've got a question. Suppose you have several options of investment possibilities, and aside from profit potentials, before you decide on which business to go into or to commit to, what other criteria would you suggest would be most important in choosing from a variety of choices?
If you're talking for myself, as I said already, one of them is there has to be something new, so that I'm learning something new, which is, you'll hear other people saying the exact opposite. They'll say, look, you've invested in doing this, you should do it again, sell it and do it again, because it's easier, because you can do it quicker and sell your business quicker. That's their thing. Okay, I'm only talking about my DNA. My DNA drives me to do something new. Okay, so I would be looking for something that interests me, excites me, that gives me a passion as an investor. Whether or not I'm involved with the business, I'd still need that passion. I think I'd need that passion to believe in the investment in the first place, because I think I've never seen a business plan put forward that ever reaches what it says. So the financial side, you have to really guess more on the people involved than the numbers that they portray. Yeah.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying you got to get turned on to go involved in the business.
No, I'm not saying you need to get involved. I mean, if you're looking at just investing, you still should have a passion for what the business is about, I believe, unless you're looking for pure monetary returns. And I'd be looking for the person who's in that business to make sure they've got that passion as well. I'm very much a investor of people rather than just the product or service.
So it's more than an ROI.
Yeah, it has to be.
Okay.
If it's a startup, you can't believe their ROIs anyway.
It's all forecasted.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Vincent. I'm with Houston Technology Center. We commercialize startups. Just a question. I think a lot of times, entrepreneurs, they're always interested in trying many new things, and it seems like you've done a lot of companies that have obviously done very well. But sometimes I think there's a challenge where, you have a lot of opportunities, and you chase many of them, but that sometimes you need to focus. Have you found any sort of, I don't know, rule of thumb or way of thinking in terms of when it's time to focus and when it's time to kind of test the waters on a few things?
What I normally look at is I've got maybe 3 or 4 projects that I'm looking at. At the moment, I've got 2, and they're getting very close to commitment phase. And it's probably one of the things I find is that you get closer and closer, you start trying to uncover the mad scientists. You start digging into problems that you've got. I've got one where the goalpost movement with the customers involved. So all of a sudden they wanted this, but then they're moving it over to that. This was easy. This is difficult. So then it falls apart. So that you chuck that back in the pit. But then what happens sometimes 5 years later, that could be resurrected. But normally what will happen at some point, I'm sorry to say, you'll get excited and passionate again, and you go through 2 or 3 days where you can't sleep. So much excitement and rampant, just working crazy, doing millions of things. You got something that you like, right? And then you drop off the other ones, and then you focus on that. I mean, like if I get into new business, it's my focus, and it'll take up 80% of my time, and the 20% is just probably taking care of the others. But I agree with you. Somebody that's just bouncing from one to the other without really focusing is not an entrepreneur to me. Probably an out-of-control research development person. Great. Well, thank you very much.
It's not all about money. You have the passion. It's something that you really want to do with it. But would you something like a serial entrepreneur who like yourself, would they be interested to go to social entrepreneurship and when passion drives or overcomes the logic of, let's say, so some business don't work, but then you have that passion and you still really want to do it. How do you get away?
Well, I suppose you have to be able to afford it. The owner of the Address Talk company, he has the money he has a passion for this product. He wants it to work even though it's not going to work. And he doesn't care, okay? And he's got the money to back that. So good on him. That product will not go away. At the same time, everybody likes learning. I think that's a given. So, but also people like giving, okay? So helping at, Sasin and Thammasat and all these places is part of giving. Sitting down and helping 3 or 4 or a dozen friends in their business or giving them business ideas is giving. The same token, I've got no problems with, a sustainability project doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's not making money. Okay, I mean I'm not. Okay, so and it's not necessarily about making money either. It's about making yourself happy. I mean, I've got one little sustainability project I talked about earlier. Hey, I don't mind. It's a story about spreading. You guys do it, I'll be happy because I'll save some paper and ink. Yeah, because I want to build an app, for my computers, so that when I print something quickly, hit the quick print, it just prints the first page or second page, not the whole 38 pages. That to me is I'd do that and sell it for nothing or donations or something. So it's a passion for me because I hate wasting that paper. So what's it all about? I don't know. It's what every person's got their own image for.
And do you think there'll be a time when you actually stop the cycle?
Yeah, when I'm dead. No, I think you have to be, you have to use your brain in life, and if you're not using your brain, what are you going to do? I mean, you've got to be. This is my life. I hope I'll be doing this forever. I don't want to stop.
Okay. Thank you very much, Graham.
Great. Thank you.
Before we go out, we actually